All right, welcome to Hannity. All right, buckle up, because in 26 days, we have midterm elections, and the country's fate, not to put pressure on you, it's all in your hands. And I've been telling you for months, the single most important midterm election in our lifetime. Democrats, the destroy Trump media, they have no shame. They're not backing down. Eric Holder's trying to walk back his kick them while they're down comments. We're going to explain that. We have a major moment today at the White House. Phenomenal. Kanye West meeting with President Trump in the Oval Office. And not surprisingly, the left is in a meltdown mode over it. You will not believe, well, yeah, I guess you should, because it's predictable, what are the despicable comments that were made about Kanye? We've got the tape. Also, our First Lady, Melania Trump, breaks her silence on being the target of bullying, and we've got the evidence to back her up. And Democrats sinking to a new low, and they're trying to win their attempts to win in November. Also, exclusively, Project Veritas tonight has exposed an explosive undercover video. We will show it to you. We've got a lot to get to. All right, it's time for tonight's breaking news, and we're glad you're with us. Opening monologue. All right, so earlier today, President Trump met with rapper Kanye West in the Oval Office. They spoke about really important topics: prison reform, job creation, safe communities in America. Kanye did not hold back his praise for the president. Here's what he said. Take a look.
I think it's the bravery that helps you beat this game called life. You know, they tried to scare me to not wear this hat, my own friends, but this hat, it gives me power in a way. There was something about when I put this hat on, it made me feel like Superman. You made a Superman. That's my favorite superhero. And you made a Superman cape for me also, as a guy that looks up to you, looks up to Rap Lauren, looks up to American industry guys. Non-political, no put the beep on it, however you want to do it, 5 seconds delay, and just goes in and gets it done.
Great lesson in life. You cannot live your life and be courageous if you care so much about what people think. Interesting comment about wearing the Make America Great Again hat. And yeah, we need prison reform. There are people like that woman, Mrs. Johnson, who was on this program for one offense her whole life. And the president gave her a pardon. We need jobs. Yes, we're making more jobs in America. We need more, as many as possible. We need every neighborhood in this country safe for every American. And while Kanye was being open and honest and looking for solutions and giving his opinions, what was the left doing? Attacking him. What's wrong with what he's saying? What about jobs? What about safe neighborhoods? Well, of course, we see the predictable, vile bludgeoning that we see now, sadly, almost on a daily basis. The media has been relentless, even before Kanye even met with the president. Some members of the abusively biased media brought up his previous struggles with mental illness. Really? This is sick. And used some disgusting language to describe him. Take a look.
Kanye West is what happens when Negroes don't read.
Black folks are about to trade Kanye West in the racial draft. Now, all of a sudden, Kanye, because he's put on a MAGA hat and he's an attention whore like the president, he's all of a sudden now the model spokesperson. He's the token Negro of the Trump administration.
This was an embarrassment. Kanye's mother is rolling over in her grave.
I think you had there a man who's clearly not okay and a president who's willing to exploit that.
Well, it was a combination of stream of consciousness. I felt like I was sitting in on a psychiatric visit and a commercial for Donald Trump.
On the question of mental health, on the question of exploiting him, it felt very exploitive to me. There was something very fragile about and sad about Kanye pulling out his phone and frantically typing in his code. We all saw it. I think it was 4 zeros, and pulling up some weird picture of a car. I mean, just expand on that. It seems like an important point. I haven't heard anyone else on television make it.
These people are just, they totally disgust me. It's absolutely despicable. Well, Kanye West and millions of other Americans are now realizing, you know what? The Democrats had 8 years. They gave us a failed agenda. 13 million more Americans on food stamps, 8 million more in poverty, the lowest labor participation rate since the 70s, more debt than all presidents before him combined with Obama. Really? The first president never to hit 3% GDP growth. Look at what's happening. The Trump agenda is creating a future for the forgotten men and women in this country that Democrats claim that they love so much. That's a future for every American. That's a future for our kids. Ask yourself this. Why is the left so threatened by a meeting talking about prison reform and about jobs and a better economy and about violence in some neighborhoods in some parts of the country? Is it because the Democratic Party is exposed for having failed all these years? All the hysteria surrounding Kanye's pro-Trump comments? Is it an admission that President Trump is making progress, executing on an agenda, lower taxes, less burdensome regulation, lower unemployment, economic prosperity, 14 states, record low unemployment, Hispanic unemployment, record low unemployment for African Americans, Asian Americans, women in the workplace. And of course, we have more kids, more youth jobs available than we've had in 50 years. What Kanye is experiencing is what African-American conservatives sadly have experienced for years: mocked, demonized, ridiculed, punished by the leftist machine for daring to think on their own and question big government policies that have crippled people in this country and have failed miserably. Now, the modern Democratic Party is devoid of any ideas or solutions. This tired scheme of redistribution, a proven total failure. And anyone who dares to try to work with President Trump to craft real solutions that really will help people and create safer neighborhoods is vilified. We see it today. Just look at the number of Democratic leaders encouraging mob violence against their political opponents. Just yesterday, what did we show you? Video of Obama's own attorney general, the top cop in the country for whatever, 8 years, less than that, 6 years. Eric Holder, they go low, ditch civility, kick Republicans when they're on the ground. Kick them. Take a look.
Michelle Obama, I love her, you know. She and my wife, like, really tight, which always scares me and Barack. But Michelle says that, you know, when they go low, we go high. No. When they go low, we kick them. That's what this new Democratic Party is about.
That's the real Eric Holder. But after the backlash, now he's trying to walk back his comments, which is phony and contrived. He sends out a tweet saying, OK, stop the fake outrage. I am obviously not advocating violence. When, in fact, I was at AG, crime was at a U.S. historic low. I'm saying Republicans are undermining our democracy. Democrats need to be tough, proud, and stand for the values we believe in. No. We didn't put any words in Eric Holder's mouth. He said kick him. He made those comments. So Eric Holder can sit and spin any way he wants. You saw the smile on his face, a crowd that supported him. We're not stupid. We know you meant it. He meant exactly what he said. And he should have just said, yeah, that's how I feel. Sorry. Words like that have consequences. Now, earlier today, during an interview on Fox and Friends, the president had this to say about Eric Holder's pathetic comments. Take a look.
They have to be careful with the rhetoric because it's very dangerous what Holder says. I mean, Holder was held in contempt by Congress. Holder went after Christians. He went after our great evangelicals. He went after the Tea Party people. You know that. They just settled. The IRS just settled that case. Holder he's got some problems, and I don't see him running. And if he did run, I think he gets gobbled up before he ever gets to the election itself. I think the primaries would gobble him up.
Eric Holder's not alone. Other Democratic leaders, they've been cheering on these types of tactics. This is all, well, on tape. Take a look yourself.
You cannot be civil with a political party that wants to destroy what you stand for, what you care about. That's why I believe if we are fortunate enough to win back the House and or the Senate, that's when civility can start again.
If you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd. And you push back on them. And you tell them they're not welcome anymore, anywhere.
Please don't just come here today and then go home. Go to the Hill today. Get up and please get up in the face of some Congress people.
With comments like that, is it any wonder we see on a regular basis, we see Republican lawmakers, public figures, women run out of restaurants, heckled at airports, heckled in front of their wives? Look at what happened to a truck in Washington State that had a pro-Trump bumper sticker on it. The owner of the car, Johnny McKay, he says he decided to take an Uber home from a local bar, and when he came back, this is what he saw. The language of the left, the people that want to be in power in 26 days, reaching new lows on an hourly basis. These consequences could be scary. First Lady Melania Trump, during an interview with ABC News, had this to say about how she has been treated, and she's right. Take a look.
I could say I'm the most bullied person on the world.
You think you're the most bullied person in the world?
One of them, if you really see what people are saying about me.
The First Lady is right. She's been the focus of constant media bullying, harassment since the day she and her husband descended from the escalators down a Trump Tower. They have been unrelenting. Here are a few examples to prove her point. Take a look.
I want to really thank the First Lady, Melania, who has done an incredible job. She worked so hard on this event, and so I want to thank you.
Yeah. That's not a chance she did one thing to help set that up. There's no... She didn't die egg. She didn't feel bad. The only thing she's been working on is an escape tunnel.
I was struck by Melania's statement. She says,
oh, yeah. Do not do, don't just keep don't do.
No, I can't do it.
No, we know. That's why we're telling you don't do it.
Try it.
No White House Easter celebration would be complete without story time from our First Lady.
Be clever and curious, just like a cat. Ask lots of questions about this and that.
About this and that.
Today is Melania's birthday.
Obvious.
Happy birthday, Melania.
I know.
That was necessary. Come on. That's so mean.
Yeah. The president was there to meet the freed men, along with Melania, who is hoping to be freed next.
Yeah, Jimmy Kimmel, the pervert, walking around with cucumbers in his pants, showing people. Really? We need Mr. Pervert judging other people? And it didn't stop there. After Melania Trump had a kidney procedure, well, then the media couldn't understand why she was staying out of the spotlight. Maybe she was healing? Now, some speculated, oh, she must have had plastic surgery. One Rolling Stone writer questioning if she was concealing abuse. They also ridiculing her clothing choices. And I want to say this is going to stop, but we know it won't. We're going to have more example of the left's new lows in a few minutes. All right, here is reaction to all the breaking news tonight. The author of Why We Fight, just out this week, defeating America's enemies with no apologies. Fox News national security strategist Sebastian Gorka, also out this week. They're competing for the New York Times top spot with Tucker Carlson. The author of Spygate, the attempted sabotage of Donald J. Trump, former Secret Service agent, NRA TV contributor Dan Bongino, Florida Attorney General Pam Bondi, who herself was a victim of the mob. And by the way, fake news CNN says you can't say it's a mob. You, Secretary Nielsen, Sarah Sanders, Ted Cruz, this is a mob that is being incited by people like Maxine Waters, follow them into department stores and restaurants. If any conservative did to a Democratic woman what was done to you, Pam, there would be fire and fury, to use a phrase.
There certainly would, Sean, and it's the classic definition of a mob. If you look up what a mob is in the dictionary, it's inciting violence, and that's what they're doing. I was booed again the other night. Someone saw me and yelled my name like they had won the lottery, basically the lottery of getting to be mean to a human being. And, you know, that's what the world's turning into.
But they're doing it to wives and they're doing it to women, the very people that say that they have a monopoly of compassion and that conservatives don't.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry you had to go through that. You know,
I'm not going to be a victim.
This is now what they're saying to do. We're seeing it daily, and it is a mob. Yeah. And Democrats are inciting this with their words in many ways.
You know, they are, Sean, but I think this is happening for a reason. I think in this Trump era where now Trump just refuses to back down to this political pressure through the media, the liberal swamp, and these activist groups, it's enraged them. Sean, the left, for as much as I disagree with them ideologically, they're usually tactically smarter than this. But Trump has them moving and scattered. They just don't know what to do anymore because they're not used to a real political fight. Republicans would have, elected Republicans would have backed down by now, and Trump refuses to do it.
We're looking at Ted Cruz, and he's with his wife, Heidi. And literally, he has to escort his wife and act as protection, Dr. Gorka, to get her out of the restaurant because they can't even let people sit for 5 seconds and have peace.
Think about the metric in America today that you risk bodily harm if you put on a red MAGA hat in many parts of the United States. That's actually an act of courage. The left walks around in T-shirts with Che Guevara, a mass murderer, on their chest. We don't do anything to them. This is why the midterms are crucial, Sean. Do you want the mob to run America? Do you want people who will intimidate you if you do not toe their line? That's what the next 26 days are about.
And Pam, when Kanye said today that it's freeing and it really is a sign of courage, I'm not going to let anybody tell me how to think. And I'm going to wear my Make America Great Again hat. Well, he could have held back a little bit on the cursing in the Oval Office, but we'll put that aside for a second. Most people have cursed in their lives. But you know, it's sad that we have the lowest unemployment for African Americans, Hispanic Americans, Asian Americans. And somebody's saying, good job, let's do more of this.
And Kanye's a businessman, Sean, and he's a capitalist, and he understands that. And he's saying, let's make more products in the United States. He gets it, and he knows all the good that the president has done for the country. And Kanye West is brave. He's his own man. He's not scared to speak his mind and wear his Make America Great Again hat. And none of us are going to be victims, frankly. Ted Cruz was out there protecting his wife. And, you know, everyone's going to continue to do what's right, despite what the former chief legal officer of our entire country said, to kick people when they're down. It's despicable. And I know
I want
Eric
everything
Holder,
Kanye wants,
really
what he's saying anyway. I'm sure I don't agree on everything. I disagree with him on stop and frisk because it worked in New York and lives were saved. But Dan Bongino, I agree on prison reform. I agree on safer cities. And I agree make products in America and create more jobs for Americans. I'm all in.
Yeah, Sean, I've been really vocal about this. I wish a lot of the establishment-type Republicans who are selling this moment short would take a time out and think about this. Where have we fell short over the years? Cultural capital. Democrats have built up a bank account of cultural capital through Hollywood and celebrities. And finally, we have people with cultural capital saying, hey, these Republicans aren't crazy. Let's hear what they have to say. It's a big deal.
Dr. Gorka, by the way, you clean up really well.
I escaped from a gala to come on your show, Sean.
We'll give you the last word.
Look, it's very, very simple. They have no policies. They have no argument. All they have is intimidation, and we will not let them get away with it.
All right. Thank you all. Thanks for taking a break from that event. Pam, we're sorry what you went through. When we come back, we're going to have more on Kanye's meeting with the president today. Kristen Fisher has a full report. Candace Owens is with us as she is with Kanye in our nation's capital. She'll join us next. And a phenomenal candidate running for Senate in Michigan. You're going to love this guy. John James, also coming up next. All right, joining us now with the latest on the meeting between President Trump and Kanye West, Fox News correspondent in Washington tonight, Kristen Fisher. Kristen.
You know, Sean, it isn't easy to upstage President Trump, but Kanye West stole the show today in the Oval Office. The meeting was supposed to be about prison reform, and it kind of was, but Kanye turned it into a 10-minute-long stream of consciousness about jobs, race, guns, and why he loves his MAGA hat.
They tried to scare me to not wear this hat, my own friends, but this hat, it gives me power in a way. There was something about when I put this hat on, it made me feel like Superman.
Superman. He also took on his critics back home in Hollywood. Watch this.
What I need Saturday Night Live to improve on, and what I need the liberals to improve on is, if he don't look good, we don't look good. This is our president. He has to be the freshest, the flyest planes, the best factories, and we have to make our core be empowered.
Now you can see the entire White House press pool was crammed into the Oval Office to capture this spectacle. And at one point, Kanye was asked a question about gun violence and the Second Amendment.
The problem is illegal guns. Illegal guns is the problem, not legal guns. We have the right to bear arms.
And he also has the right to show the world the passcode to his iPhone, which he did inadvertently. It was 000000. Sean, please tell me that you have a better passcode than Kanye.
Well, I'd have a better passcode. It changes every other day. I don't even have the same phone one week to the next.
Very secure.
For those that don't know, Kristen Fisher's parents were both astronauts, and I got to meet her dad. That is like the coolest thing in the world. Are you going to bring this up every night?
What's that? It is one of the coolest things. And that big Russian Soyuz emergency landing today was just, I got to say, incredible to watch. What those astronauts and cosmonauts and the entire NASA team were able to do.
Anybody that gets in a rocket and wants to go up in space has a lot of courage, and I just admire all of them. So, and I had a chance to meet your dad.
I will relay the message. I'm sure they're watching.
Oh, my best to both of them. All right, joining us now with reaction, the GOP U.S. Senate candidate from Michigan, John James, is with us, and Turning Point USA Communications Director, our friend Candace Owens. Candace was with Kanye in D.C. earlier today. You actually facilitated a phone call with me and Kanye, and it wasn't just a phone call. We actually FaceTimed. And what I really liked about it is all he wants is answers. All he wants is solutions. All he wants is opportunities. And that's what impressed me. I agree with prison reform. I agree with more jobs. I want more made in America. I want a better economy. And I want safe neighborhoods. What is there to disagree with here?
The fact that he likes our president, the fact that he's bringing forward an optimistic message. Let's be clear. The left has become the party of hate and division. Kanye is talking about love and unity and support for our president, who is doing a tremendous job. He's talking about the real numbers that are in, okay? A 400% increase in black growth in jobs and starting black businesses. A 400% increase. Black unemployment at an all-time low. President Obama brought an all-time high for welfare for black community. We had President Clinton before him, a Democrat president, who brought an all-time high for black incarceration. What is the problem here? Why isn't the black community standing with our president right now?
Did he say he was a billionaire?
Yes. Actually, Fox News reported that he's on track to become a billionaire.
How awesome. And he's talking about jobs that are paying $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 a year. You know what? There are people that would love those jobs. Let's get them here. John James, I had the opportunity to interview you on my radio show, and I can say this, I'm on radio 30 years. You just took my breath away because of your passion. I hope the people of Michigan are getting to know you. I know it's a tough state to run for Senate. I hope the people of Michigan are hearing what I think is a great message to make Michigan great again.
Well, the people of the state of Michigan are very astute. This is a state that not only did Donald Trump win, but so did Bernie Sanders. People in the state of Michigan are sick and tired of being sick and tired. And when you look at the fact that 98% of black people vote in one party, that's the reason why we don't have a seat at both tables. I'm an independent thinker who prioritizes God and country in that order. And I will always serve the people of the state of Michigan as well as I served the United States of America when I deployed to Operation Rocky Freedom.
John, I went through Detroit the last time I was there, and I saw one of America's great cities, and it was devastated. It was, I mean, they're selling homes for $1, knocking down entire neighborhoods to consolidate because of all the jobs, manufacturing jobs that moved out. Now jobs are moving into areas like Michigan, Wisconsin, and Ohio and Pennsylvania. I think we can revitalize a city like Detroit. Am I a dreamer or am I rooted in reality?
Look, you're exactly on track. We know that we can revitalize Detroit. But the thing is, until these economic opportunity improvements come to the people in the neighborhoods, our forgotten neighborhoods and our forgotten farms, the areas that have been neglected and failed by Democrat policies decades in the past, we've marched from Selma to Detroit We've rioted from Baltimore to Watts, and nothing's changed in 50 years. We need to make sure that we don't just
first, the neighborhoods have to be safe. Chicago's not safe. I would love for the president to partner with Kanye and come up with answers for the people of Chicago. It is a shooting zone, and it's been happening for years, and nobody's fixing it.
Well, we need more solution. We need more leadership and less partisanship.
Yeah.
You can learn a little bit more about my candidacy on johnjamesforsenate.com, but I have the experience leading on the battlefield and the boardroom and bringing my leadership experience to solve and make our neighborhoods better, bringing everybody up and making our community
Candace,
safer.
Why are people that are African Americans and conservative brutalized by the left?
Because they don't want us to be free. Listen, make no mistake, the left depends on the black vote. They have to earn more than 85% of the black vote to sustain their party. This is why they sow division. This is why they need the themes of racism to stay alive. But guess what, Sean? The black community is waking up. And that's why Kanye West terrifies them, because he's not scared in the same way that I'm not scared. And we are seeing more black conservatives waking up and speaking out against Democrat Party.
Listen, I have a little Hannity crystal ball, and what I see in my future are amazing futures for both of you with strong leadership and just dynamic personalities. I wish you both Godspeed in your mission as you move forward, and I mean that. Thank you both. When we come back, Congressman Mark Meadows says Rod Rosenstein needs to go under oath, owes we the people answers. He'll join us with Sarah Carter, John Solomon. Breaking news on the deep state next. In an interview with Fox and Friends earlier today, President Trump said he gets along with Rod Rosenstein, gave credit to Mark Meadows and others for exposing what is happening with the Russia witch hunt. Take a look.
I actually get along well with Rod. We have a witch hunt going on, which is disgraceful. And I have to tell you, I'll take these Republican guys with Mark Meadows and Jim Jordan and Gates and Gibbs and all of them. I hate to mention a few names because there's so many of them, and I want to give every one of them credit. These are tough, smart guys. They know there was no collusion, it turned out, with Russia. There was collusion, but it was with Hillary Clinton, the DNC, these Republican folks. I think they're becoming folk heroes. These are great, great people, and they want to get to the bottom of it.
I agree with that. The Freedom Caucus, they stand by their promises. They fight. Congressman Mark Meadows joins us right now. Fox News investigative reporter Sarah Carter, The Hill's John Solomon. Congressman, we now have Rod Rosenstein. Let's see. He recommended firing Comey. He signed the last FISA warrant, the third renewal application. And this is a guy that appointed Mueller. Now we have three people saying that he seriously was talking about wearing a wire to invoke the 25th Amendment. McCabe said it. Well, actually, four. McCabe said it. Lisa Page said it. Let me think of the other ones. One other person said it.
Jim Baker.
Jim Baker. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah, I tell you, the reporters that you have on, I'm with two great reporters that have done tremendous work on this front. But I think probably the biggest part is the president is exactly right. There is no collusion. He knows it. I know it. Even the Democrats know it. And it's about time that Bob Mueller, he must finish the investigation. It's time to call it quits, because what we're starting to find out are the wheels are coming off. Glenn Simpson, Fusion GPS, Glenn Simpson, refused to come before Congress. I talked to Chairman Gowdy this evening. The only option we have now is to hold him in contempt of Congress.
Why isn't that happening? And where are the 302s that the president was going to release? Where are the FISA warrants that he was going to release?
Well, we've got to get those out. Transparency is good medicine, Sean. As you know, I've been advocating for that. The president has been advocating, but he wants to be cautious, and I applaud that. You know, he's getting accused left and right of interfering in this investigation, and yet
interfering. They're obstructing congressional investigations. That's your constitutional role, which, to your credit, you're doing. Sarah Carter.
Oh, I couldn't agree more with you, Sean, on this. I mean, look, we have Rod Rosenstein. Obviously, a lot of information has come out in the last few weeks. We know that James Baker, the former general counsel of the FBI, came forward and said, look, we took seriously what he said. He wanted to invoke the 25th. We now know that there were two other That's right. And secretly record the president of the United States. Beyond that, we also know that there were 2 other people apparently speaking with Rod Rosenstein. I give the president credit for this, Sean. The president is a great chess player. I think he's making his move now. I think that the president came out. He's been talking to Rod Rosenstein. We don't know what happened on that flight. We don't know exactly what they spoke about during those 30 minutes, but the president is looking and watching. And I absolutely believe that there were other people inside this administration that were with Rod Rosenstein on this. And I think it's going to come out. I don't think it's going to come out next week, but I think eventually the president will make that public if he's smart, and then he'll get rid of Rod Rosenstein. He'll get rid of Jeff Sessions. He'll put other people in place. This is what I'm hearing behind the scenes. This is what I believe will happen.
All right. So Lisa Page, John Solomon says for 9 months, they had no evidence of Russia collusion. This is just before the appointment of Rod Rosenstein and Mueller. And then, of course, even Peter Strzok said there's no there. Now I think with their media leak strategy that we've been able to unveil and report, along with the insurance policy comment, they leaked the information to different news sources. All goes back to the Clinton phony Russian dossier. They leak it all over the place to create an atmosphere that, oh, there must be so much happening. This really happened, when just the opposite is true. The only Russian interference came from Hillary paying for Russian lies that were disseminated to the American people and used as a fraud on a FISA warrant court 4 times.
Yeah, listen, there was a lot of Harry Houdini going on in May of 2017 at the Justice Department. They knew they didn't have a case, and instead they tried to create the aura in the public media that there was a case and it was being obstructed by the president. And I think when we look back in history, we're going to see a lot. I was thinking today, and because of the work of Congressman Meadows, Congressman Jordan, those who've been digging, we now know, I think 2 years ago this month, Glenn Simpson and Christopher Steele were out peddling their story to the media, trying to get it out before the election, clearly showing their political covers. 2 years later, Glenn Simpson can't even come anymore and testify to Congress because he has to invoke his right against self-incrimination. How far has this investigation turned from collusion on Russia to collusion with the Democratic Party and the FBI? And it's because of people like Congressman Meadows and Congressman Jordan that bucked the trend and went for the facts and the truth.
And you and Sarah and Greg and others, you guys all deserve credit too. What did I call this year? The year of the boomerang. Quick question, all of you. Will we get the declassified unredacted materials? Mark Meadows.
Yeah, I think we will get them, hopefully some sooner than later, before the election, hopefully a small group of them before the election, and we need to have them.
Sarah?
Yeah, absolutely. We need the dossier. We also need the Gang of 8 packet, which will expose the exculpatory evidence that's been withheld from the American people, and the 302s, of course.
John, will we get them real quick?
Absolutely. No doubt about it.
Before the election?
I think some of it's a lot of it will be after the election, I fear.
All right, thank you all for what you're doing. Kid Rock at the White House today had a perfect response to a reporter. It's great. Next.
Well, good evening and welcome to Tucker Carlson Tonight. There was an unexpected and kind of amazing moment at the White House today. Kanye West, the rapper, showed up in the Oval Office and proceeded to give what amounted to effectively a campaign speech while sitting directly across from the President of the United States and while pounding on the presidential desk. You've likely already seen pictures of what happened. It's everywhere. And the scene may have confused you. You might have concluded it was a publicity stunt staged by famous people in order to become more famous. You may have found yourself muttering about the debased and celebrity-centered focus of our public discourse these days. You may even have felt a little sad knowing that the dignified country you grew up in is gone for good. You can be forgiven for reaching those conclusions, but they're not the whole story of what happened today. Believe it or not, Kanye West said some genuinely interesting things this afternoon, things we ought to be talking about in public, but are not. He'll probably destroy his career for saying them. He'll certainly be despised by many of his former friends. But before any of that happens, let's consider what he actually said. We'll go with the most offensive things first. Here they are.
You know, people expect that if you're black, you have to be Democrat. I've had conversations that basically said that welfare is the reason why a lot of black people end up being Democrat. They say, you know, first of all, it's a limit to amount of jobs. So the fathers lose the jobs and they say, we'll give you more money for having more kids in your home. I think it's the bravery that helps you beat this game called life. You know, they tried to scare me to not wear this hat, my own friends, but this hat, it gives me power in a way. You know, my dad and my mom separated, so I didn't have a lot of male energy in my home. You know, I love Hillary, I love everyone, right? But the campaign, I'm with her, just didn't make me feel as a guy that didn't get to see my dad all the time, like a guy that could play catch with his son.
She didn't make me feel like a guy who could play catch with his son. West didn't explain exactly what he meant by that, and yet at the very same time, he could not have put it more precisely or more poignantly. He grew up in a party whose policies have systematically destroyed the American family, especially in poor neighborhoods. I didn't have a lot of male energy in my home, West said with obvious sadness. Millions of American kids know exactly what he is talking about. The Democratic Party won't acknowledge these kids or their loss. To party leaders, fathers in the home are at best irrelevant. At worst, they're an impediment to political power. Married women tend to vote Republican, and they know that. When prominent Democrats attack the patriarchy, what they're attacking is fathers. When they wage war on toxic masculinity, what they're trying to suppress is masculinity itself. Everybody knows this. Few are brave enough to say it out loud. West essentially did, and then he kept going. Watch this.
So, and that's a move, one of the moves that I love that liberals tried to do. The liberal would try to control a black person through the concept of racism because they know that we are very proud, emotional people. So when I said I like Trump to like someone that's liberal, they'll say, oh, but he's racist. You think racism can control me? Oh, that don't stop me. That's an invisible wall.
You think racism can control me? It's an invisible wall. The reporters looking on seemed stunned, even betrayed. And then just to rub it in, West went on to defend the Bill of Rights. Watch.
What about gun violence with all the debate about the Second Amendment going on?
The problem is illegal guns. Illegal guns is the problem, not legal guns. We have the right to bear arms.
What do we make of all of this? Well, obviously, just from watching, you can tell that Kanye West is an eccentric guy. He meanders. He talks like someone who's never had to filter his thoughts, which he probably never has had to do. But much like someone else who comes to mind, West may be precisely crazy enough to think for himself. And that's a valuable quality right now. No consultant advised him to say any of that. Clearly, nobody controls him. Sometimes he doesn't control himself. But listen carefully to what he said. Sprinkled throughout his ramblings are flashes of truth, real insights into the way the world actually is, rather than the way they tell us it is. Nobody else is allowed to talk this way. Go ahead and try it at work. You'll get fired. West doesn't care, and that makes him dangerous to a system that is based almost entirely on piety and lying. If you're benefiting from a system like that, Kanye West must be crushed. Here's the math of it. The Democratic presidential candidates, everyone who runs, needs to get almost the entire black vote in order to win a national election. That's not easy to do, so in order to do it, Democrats sow racial division. They pit Americans against each other based on their ethnicity. You can't support them. They're the wrong color. You hear that all the time. It's now the essential Democratic argument. It's destructive, but more ominously for Democrats, it may no longer be working. A poll by Public Broadcasting just last week found that Trump's approval rating with Hispanic voters is 41%. That's higher than it is with college-educated white voters. If anything like that ever happened among African American voters, the game would be over. So that can't happen. Kanye West must be destroyed. And so the thought police swooped in almost immediately to arrest this disobedient artist and declare him incompetent.
Wow. Okay, I'm doing this for everybody who's watching us who turned their volume down. You can put it back up again.
But if you think you're going to get a thoughtful play-by-play and political analysis, you're not, because that was an assault on our White House.
It was a combination of stream of consciousness. I felt like I was sitting in on a psychiatric visit and a commercial for Donald Trump.
What I saw was a minstrel show today. Him in front of all of these white people, mostly white people, embarrassing himself and embarrassing Americans, but mostly African Americans.
Yeah, shut up, Kanye. You're crazy. Keep in mind, this is coming from the same people who believe Hillary Clinton is entirely well, indeed a serious person. They're hoping this works, this crazy stuff, and that you believe them. And just in case you don't, they want to remind you that Kanye West is a race traitor, as Don Lemon just said, who has a low IQ. Here was CNN on Tuesday night.
Kanye West is what happens when Negroes don't read. And we have this now, and now Donald Trump is going to use it and pervert it, and he's going to have somebody who can stand with him and take pictures.
Kanye, because he's put on a MAGA hat and he's an attention whore like the president, he's all of a sudden now the model spokesperson. He's the token Negro of the Trump administration.
Got that? He can't read because he's the N-word. That's what the liberals on a liberal cable channel are now telling you. But they have no choice. They are terrified you will listen to what Kanye West is saying, and that's not allowed. Jason Nichols is a professor of African American Studies at the University of Maryland, someone who's followed Kanye West closely for years. He joins us tonight. So is it okay to say that you're the N-word and you can't read? Like, is that... I don't even.
Well, hold
is that
on,
allowed?
Tucker, he didn't say that he couldn't read. He said that he doesn't read.
Well, he's dumb. He's dumb because he's the N-word.
No,
and I'm not going to use on this show.
He did not call him the N-word.
He did.
He said Negro, which is different. It's an antiquated term, but it's not the N-word.
Look, if you said that, if there was a meeting of black leaders with anybody, and you said something like that, which I would never do because it's disgusting.
Sure hope not.
I never would.
Sure hope not.
But if you ever did say something like that, you'd lose your job so fast to make your head spin.
Well, again,
so, like, what is this? Is it okay?
antiquated.
No, but hold on. You know exactly what's going on. Kanye West, like, I don't know anything about Kanye West. You do.
I do.
So I'm not an expert on the subject, but I know that you should be allowed to have an opinion that's different from the mob's opinion. The groupthink isn't mandated. No, truly. The mob on cable news. Like, it's okay to have a different view. It's all right if one guy disagrees. Okay?
Again,
and they use racial epithets and call them stupid and crazy? Like, what is this?
Well, number one, in terms of calling people stupid and crazy, that's something that the president has done several times to lots of African Americans.
Are we for that now?
So
I mean, no, but hold
he
on. Like,
essentially has done the exact same thing.
Okay,
so
but I thought we were against that. I mean, they're attacking him on the basis of his race because he's deviating from the group.
But Tucker, call it out from your president. Kanye West, you know, and
Kanye, what does the president have to do with it? I'm just saying, I'm watching Don Lemon. But hold on,
Don Lemon, you know, come on.
I don't know. It's a major. Is that okay? I guess that's what. Look, I don't think it's okay when anybody does it. I don't care what color or party. I'm not into it.
My view on Kanye West is this: I have lots of sympathy and empathy for him. He and I actually have a lot in common. We both lost our mothers around the same time. I know how that's a stabilizing force in your family, and I think he does suffer from some mental illness as he was diagnosed with bipolar, even though he tried to undiagnoose himself.
But I thought
a lot of his ramblings were incoherent.
Okay, they were
and
incoherent.
That's what people are pointing out.
Okay, but some, I agree, some were incoherent, but some were totally coherent. He said, look, the Democratic Party's policies have wrecked the black family. That's true.
That's incorrect.
Okay, but we can argue. Look, there's a lot of social scientists. We can have a separate.
Sure.
But that's an actual position that people who study it for the course of their lifetimes believe. That's not a crazy perspective. A lot of people think that. I think that. I'm not crazy.
Yeah, no, you're not. But I think that.
So why is it over the line when he says that?
Well, I think a lot of people are also disappointed.
Why?
And I think they're disappointed because Kanye held certain positions early on in his career that he was almost like a folk hero in the African American community, particularly in the hip hop community.
When he called George W. Bush racist, but you're allowed to change your views. I've changed my views on almost everything because America's changed. So don't we want that? See, what this is not, I don't care about Kanye West. And I don't actually care about any political party. What I care about is the freedom to think for yourself and to tell the truth as you see it.
Yeah, and he has.
But why are we attacking him for that?
Well, no, I mean, you on this show every night, as you've said, I have the right to have an opinion upon people that voice their opinions.
I totally agree, but I'm just saying, and so we're attacking this guy as crazy and an N-word who can't read and stupid, and he's like a traitor to his race because he's got a view that's different from the majority. Like, that's a fascist position. Like, we should encourage people to think for themselves, shouldn't we?
No, we absolutely should, but what they're trying to say, and I think what Bakari Sellers meant by him not reading, not that he couldn't read, but that him not reading is that he didn't have an understanding of some of the things that he talks about. He hasn't actually read and thought these things through.
Rather than rebut it and say, well, here's the information I have that shows that welfare has not hurt the black family. It's actually strengthened it. Okay, show me the info. It's like, you're crazy, you're stupid, you're a traitor to your race. It's like, you can't have an honest conversation when people are saying
even
stuff
some
like
of the
that.
things that he said, when he talked about welfare today, he talked about things that hadn't been in place since 1990.
Yeah, well, he's not a policy expert, but I don't know. It's just this weird.
You don't
group
get
thing.
more money for having more children. That's been phased out. That was phased out with TANF by Bill Clinton, and he's still stating it, which means that he is not up on the issues that he's
There's one issue. You have a famous person who's not a policymaker, but like he's thinking for himself, and that's not allowed.
But the president brings him in to talk policy. That's troubling.
Yeah, I guess.
Bring in some guys
No,
who
he brought him in. He brought him in
things.
to illustrate how totally intolerant the left is, and he succeeded.
No, as I said, I love Kanye. I want him to actually get himself together. No,
okay, we got to go because
they're.
Thank you, Professor.
Thank you very much, Tucker.